Hello and welcome back to At Ease No Media, where we discuss media related topics at ease. So today in this video we will be talking about journalism. This is the chapter 2 of our first unit, which I have segregated in different chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2. Like this is chapter 2 where we will be studying about journalism. All right. So what is journalism? Journalism means it came from the French word diurnalis, the Latin word diurnalis, the French journal, the Latin word diurnalis. All right. So it means that daily news, keeping updating about daily news. It is all about journalism. Now, as you can see, the meaning, the journalism is a profession of gathering, writing, editing, reporting news. We all know journalism is the profession of gathering what? Journalism is the profession of gathering, writing, editing, and reporting news. Okay, we can see that gathering, writing, editing, reporting news. Now, what we will be doing, we will be understanding it in a different approach. World's first newspaper. What is the world's first newspaper? World's first newspaper is Ekta Diurena. That means the action of the day. Daily on whiteboard, called the scrapboards, not written on paper. The first world newspaper was not written on paper. It was the first world newspaper. The name of the first world newspaper is Ekta Diurena. The action of the day not written on paper, actually stone e lekha hoto. It was written in stone and handwritten bulletin. In the next part, what we can see is the ABC of journalism. The ABC of journalism means the accuracy, the brevity, and the clarity. The journalism must be accurate, journalism must be brevity, journalism must be followed with brevity, as well as journalism must be followed with clarity. Now, the father of new journalism is considered as Joseph Pulitzer. The Joseph Pulitzer, this is from the point of view of NTA UGC NET. What we can see is that NTA UGC NET, what we can see is that the father of new journalism, and there is a difference between father of journalism and father of new journalism. The father of new journalism is actually Joseph Pulitzer. So in the next part we have different types of journalism. Okay, so there are from the point of view of NTA UGC NET, what we can see that the different types of journalism can be divided into the citizen journalism. In citizen journalism, what we can see that it is a participatory journalism. That means citizens are directly participating in the journalism part. Journalism can be broadly divided into 4 parts as far as the previous years of NTA UGC NET is concerned. And it is also important from West Bengal side, that is citizen journalism means participatory journalism, and the keywords of this participatory journalism are collaborative media, democratic journalism, guerrilla journalism, and street journalism. These are the parts where we will be understanding about citizen journalism. The keywords of different citizen journalism are collaborative media, democratic journalism, guerrilla journalism, and street journalism. Gonzo journalism means highly personal style of reporting. Gonzo journalism states that it's the highly personal style of reporting. It is given by Hunter S. Thompson. Now, the third part comes the interactive journalism. What is interactive journalism? Interactive journalism means online journalism presented on the web. In today's world, we are having interactive journalism. Interactive journalism is nothing but the interaction. According to Marshall McLuhan, the media has been divided into 2 parts, the hot media and the cold media. So whether this is the main element where the interaction takes place. In interactive journalism, the interaction of the viewers, or we can say the interaction of the participants, of the viewers or the audience. The next part is the investigative journalism or marketing journalism. MUCKRAING. Marketing journalism means in-depth reporting. Media is also, yesterday we have discussed that media plays the functions of watchdog, the surveillance functions according to Harold. You can see over here According to Harold D. Laswell, yes, media can be identified into surveillance, correlation, and cultural transmission. Now we are going back to today's topic, that what we are talking about, types of journalism. Journalism can be divided into citizen journalism, gonzo journalism, interactive journalism, and investigative journalism, which is also known as marketing journalism. So which is pretty much self-explanatory. Only gonzo journalism means highly personal style of journalism. So the main theme of journalism is changing nowadays, right? Now the next part, what we will be discussing about, there is one different part which is known as tabloid journalism. What is tabloid journalism? Writing that is light-hearted and entertaining, where always we need entertainment, right? So as a function of media, entertainment is a must need, because today we are having many competitions, right? And we are running for TRP. So news is also a product. The news anchors are trying to attract the TRPs. They are breaking the news. There is a competition. There is more of awareing than entertaining part. So journalism is called a discipline of verification. All right. Journalism is nothing but the discipline of verification. So it must be unbiased. These are the theoretical part. Now the next part is the immersive journalism, which is the need of the hour, because since by being there, everyone feels that they are covering the news, or they are watching the news from the live itself, from the live location. So it's immersive journalism. The audience senses that they are on that particular event zone. All right. So it's the first person journalism. The immersive journalism is a new point of view, where it is the first person journalism is also known as immersive journalism. Why it is immersive? We can say it is immersive because it immerses with the technologies like the internet, like the virtual reality, like the augmented reality. What is augmented reality? Augmented reality means the combines real world with computer generated content. Augmented reality means combining the real world with computer generated content, and we know artificial intelligence, right? So journalism must be unbiased in terms of choice. All right. So this is journalism is not merely providing information. We are having a social responsibility as well to inform, to aware, to educate, not to persuade. All right, though it's a function of mass communication and journalism, but the main thing, as far as journalism is concerned, journalism must be unbiased. All right, now we are having the 5 core principles of journalism. What are the 5 core principles of journalism? If you can see over it, the 5 core principles of journalism, it states that truth and accuracy. Journalism must be truth, and the report must be accurate enough. Then we have independence. Journalists must have the voice. Journalists must be independent. Though there is no freedom of press, that in the law section we will be studying that particular stuff. But journalism must be independent. Journalists must be independent. So this is the core principles of journalism. Direct questions are being asked from this particular section that state the core principles of journalism. As far as core principle is concerned, we can say truth, we can say accuracy, we can say independence, we can say fairness and impartiality. That's the golden mean. Impartiality, unbiasedness, these are the keywords, my dear. UGC NET is all about keywords. UGC NET and SET is all about keywords. Humanity, journalists should not harm what we publish or broadcast. All right, so journalists should not harm what we publish or broadcast. There is a responsibility to the society as well. Now what we have accountability. That means journalists, the facts must be rechecked. All right, fairness doctrine of United States states that Federal Communications Commission of 1934, which is FCC, free press movement. So according to FCC 1934, this is being asked in a previous year question. So we can see fairness doctrine of United States. Fairness doctrine, that means, which is pretty much self-explanatory. That means journalists must have that fairness doctrine for conducting, for disseminating news to the others. Now what we will be discussing about is the world history of newspaper. We have talked about journalism, right? Now what is we will be talking about world history of newspaper. The moment I'm talking about world history of newspaper, so this thing can be divided into certain phases. There are hundreds, thousands of newspapers from starting of the after the invention of printing press. So to trace it back, we must understand first of all how paper invented, how the printing press was invented. Then we will be moving on to the history part of newspaper. So first thing first, I can show you something. As you can see that this is the print making techniques. All right, so in print making technique stages, it can be divided into 7 stages, seven broad stages, which are: number one, in the first stage we can say it's the wood block printing. First stage states that wood block printing. In the second stage we can say the movable type printing. Second stage is the movable type printing. Following with the third stage, we can see that it's the modern way. It is getting day by day, it is getting modernized, right? In the second stage, first stage, it's the wood block printing. So this is so let's start from the beginning. At the very first, paper was discovered in 105 AD in China. T.S. Lun was the inventor of paper. This is the invention. After the invention of newspaper, before the inventions, what we had was the Ekta Durenis. Okay, all right. If we tell about the first world's first newspaper is Ekta Durena, that means the action of the day. It was not written on paper. The action of the day was not written on paper. Action of the day was not written on paper. So it was not written on paper, the actual stone. It was written on actual stone and handwritten bulletin. After that, what we can see, paper was invented, right? When paper was invented on 105 AD, Anno Domini, in China by T.S. Lun. After the invention of paper, there is a story, right? So after the invention of paper, we can see that as far as journalism is concerned, so let's trace back to 1780 to 1830. If we trace back to 1780 to 1830, we can see that it was the political paper, it was the party press, it was the partition press. So the political paper, the party press, and the partition press are synonymous. Before radio, only medium of mass communication. Before the invention of radio, newspaper was the only means of mass communication. Praised by the fund of political party. Now you know newspaper is pretty much expensive. If we go for printing a particular A4 size sheet, right? Nowadays, if we go for printing a particular A4 size, if it's black and white, then it will cost minimum 5 rupees to 10 rupees, it depending on the location you are staying or you are printing that particular item. But have you imagined that while printing a particular single A4 sheet, they are charging us rupees 5 to 6 to 10 rupees. But a whole newspaper, we are getting a whole newspaper, a whole broadsheet rather, in just rupees 5 to 6 rupees, because this is the dual economy. Advertisers are supporting the printing house, the newspaper. Okay, this is the dual part. Now we are tracing back. So we have talked about today's scenario. So tracing back to the 1780s and 1830s, at that point of time, no one was introduced with the concept of advertisement in newspaper. At that point of time, newspaper was solely for information, for sharing and disseminating information. Now political paper, party press, partition press in the year 1780s and 1830s. So at that point of time, before the invention of radio, only medium of mass communication was newspaper. Now praise by the fund of how newspaper was organized, how newspapers were operated. It was operated by the political party. The funding was given by the political party. When the funding was given by the political party, there lies a political biasness of media. So politically affiliated media, at that point of time, media was politically affiliated. Now in the year 1833, it came the penny press by Benjamin Day. 1833 was termed as the year of penny press by Benjamin Day. It is the 5th stage of printing. All right. So It was linotype. Now if we pause it over here, that first of all understand, till 1833, 1780 to 1830, newspaper was under the political parties, so it came a biasness of political parties. Now moving back to this particular chart, to this particular stages, what we can see, that paper discovered, as I have discussed earlier, paper discovered in 105 AD in China by T.S. Ireland. Now the first stage printing was known as woodblock printing. It was in 6th century. The second stage was the movable type printing. Alright, it was in China by Bichen, the clay type. It was first, if we trace back to the date, it was first in 1041. Then it came in the second stage, in the movable type printing. There are some sub points, where we can see, in the first part it was 1041, the clay type. Then we had the blue wood block in 1298. Then we have Gutenberg press, that means in 1452. The Gutenberg press is known as the first printed publication. All right, before it there was only the clay type, the movable metal type printing. So Gutenberg press in Germany in 1452, Bible published work started, and in 1452 the publication work of Bible was started. But the Bible was actually published in 1455. Can you imagine? It took 3 years to publish a single book, the world's first book. So coming back to 1556 in India, so this is the Indian scenario, this is the global scenario, and this is Indian scenario. In 1556, India's first printing press was set up by the Portuguese at Goa. And in 1796, lithography means stone printing, ancient paper, easy to use techniques of printing, came in 1796 by Elias Sandfelder, Germany. Flattable press equals to lithography. So this was it with the second stage. Now moving on to the third stage, it is the rotary press or bulk production. For Rich, the Richard Mark Ho of US holds only the patent for rotary press. All right, it was, now I am talking about 1846. All right, so what I can see now, first of all, let's quickly revise, don't get confused. Paper was discovered in 105 AD in China by T.S. Ireland. Then the first stage of printing was, it was not movable, it was from tree bark, and it is the woodblock printing, which was in the 6th century. Now slowly moving on to the second stage, what we can see is the movable type printing. It was again in China, and the year was 1041 AD. All right, 1041. So in 105 paper was discovered, and the first printing was started by 1041. Now in the first publication of the book, the Gutenberg press, so this we have discussed, second stage. Now the third stage is the rotary press. It was only rotary press was under the patent holdership. Only this particular individual's name is Richard Macho of USA. They were only having this particular patent. Now coming back to this particular part of history, what we can see in 1780s and 1830s. Now, all right, the third stage was in 1846. That means before the political, before 1846, before the third stage. How in this particular stage, in first stage and second stage, how newspaper operated? In this particular first stage and second stage, newspaper was operated by political party. So when the political party is using that particular, they are funding the newspaper, naturally the biasness of the politically affiliated media would be quite omnipresent, quite visible. So then comes the revolution in 1833 in the fifth stage. All right, the revolution came in 1833 in the fifth stage of printing. Fifth stage of printing is known as linotype, monotype, or phototype. All right, this revolution was given by Benjamin Day, right? So what was the revolution? Benjamin Day, one cent newspaper. The other name is the 1 cent newspaper, or the penny press by Benjamin Day, 1833. Remember the date. The price of the newspaper drastically dropped down, and newspaper became the product, or newspaper became the became accessible to the lower middle class people. All right, so no more major fund from political party. Now the question arises, from where the fund will be arising, where they will be getting the fund to run the show. It was the invention of advertisement in newspaper. So tracing back to 1833, this is very important, penny press by Benjamin Day. This is the fifth stage of printing. So this fifth stage of printing, now coming back to the stages, as I have discussed, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 was the offset printing. In stage 4, offset printing, still 1875 by Robert Brackley, 1875 offset printing. And if you can see, it's penny press in 1833. Remember the date, penny press 1833. So stage 4 was still before penny press. So in the fourth stage, we can say newspaper was still not accessible for the common people. It was at that point of time, it was still funded by the political parties. Now coming back to this part, the linotype machine, the fifth stage, which is the revolutionary stage. All right, the penny press, it is the era of the penny press. Now remember one thing, that in history there is no particular cause and effect. There is no particular 2 plus 2 is not 4 in history. Though the books, though the historians, the archaeological facts, the literary sources might state that it was made by Benjamin Day. All right, but Benjamin Day made it possible because it was the fifth stage. In this particular stage, it was the revolution in printing area. All right, it was back in 1885 in the linotype. It was the era from 1830s. Penny press, the time of the penny press started from 1830. And now what we can see, that in 1885, German inventor Ottomar Margenthaler, similar to typewriter, a automatically composed line of type came. So here in the fifth stage we have monotype machine. That means 10,000 to 12,000 pieces per hour. See the revolution. In 1885, the newspaper, it was monotype printing, where 10,000 to 12,000 pieces can be manufactured, can be printed per hour. Whereas in the first stage, what we can see in Gutenberg Galaxy, in Gutenberg Press, we can see in Germany, the Bible, the publication started in 1452. And the first publication took 3 years to complete. Whereas in just 1 hour, coming back from 1556 to 1885. Alright. So where we can see that it's the revolution where the monotype machine take place, and it's 10,000 to 12,000 piece per hour. Then in 1894 we have phototype setting, that means the film plate, the mirror image came. All right, so this is the fifth stage. Now moving back to the sixth stage, where we can see that the laser printing, the flat off space, laser printing started taking place. Now it was the Xerox Corporation of the electronic place, the laser transfer image, the directly on sheet image toner. Now in the sixth stage, it is the flat off space, which is the typeface, which is the laser printing. Then we have then we had the seventh stage of printing, which is today we are having the 3D printing, that means present day. Now here we have to understand another concept, that is the color timing. A process, color timing, is nothing but a process that involves adjusting the amount of red, green, blue light used to create a film position or print from a negative aspect. Alright, so this was the stages of print production. So why it is important as far as newspaper is concerned? Because newspaper, we are calling it paper. So paper invented in 105. And how paper will be printed? Paper will be printed with the help of different stages of printing. Now coming back to the history of newspaper, the world history, as you can see, the world history of newspaper. In the world history of newspaper, Ekta Durdena is the first newspaper of the world, name as just by not actually what is it been written for Ekta Durdena, the first newspaper of the world. Newspaper is just by name, but actually stone bulletin. Ekta Durdena, though we are calling Ekta Durdena as the newspaper, but it was not actually paper, because paper was discovered in China in 105 AD by T.S. Eliot. So what is AD? If you don't know, AD is the, suppose this particular point is the birth of the Christ, and this area is before the birth of the Christ. All the events occurring before the birth of the Christ is on the left hand side, and after AD or common era, AD and common era, Anno Domini and common era is same. That means after the invention of calendar, the events were recorded after the invention of calendar, right? So the all the events which took place before the birth of Christ, it is BCE, and the invention that are and the events that are after the invention of calendar, that is AD, Anno Domini or common era. Now before invention of paper, we can see that Ecta Durena, it's in 59 BC. And one more thing, the moment we are going backwards, this is just like integers. So -1, -2, -3, -4, 59, 58, 56, 57. All right. So here we know 2010 is 2020 is more, 2010 is less, but here it's the opposite one. So before the invention of paper, we can see Ecta Durena 59 BC. Then we have typo gadget. All right, typo gadget in Chinese in 2000 BC. After the invention of paper, the second century 500 AD, we had in 1748 see first printed newspaper. If we call first newspaper, it is Ecta Durena. If you been asked that what is the first printed newspaper, then it is Beijing, China. All right. In 1502 we have Zeitung newspaper, Germany. In 1556 we have Gazette de la Novita, it's Venice. In 1620 we have the New Tidings, the Corantos, Holland. It's 22-inch long. It was in Amsterdam. Then we have in 1638 the first printing press in the American colonies. In 1664 we have Areopagitica. It was by John Milton in England. In 1665 we had Oxford Gazette. These are the important ones. All right. In 1666 we had London Gazette. The name changed afterwards, and it published continuously for more than 300 years. In 1690 we have Public Occurrence by Benjamin Harris. In 1702 we have Daily Corantos, the London first daily newspaper. So in 1704 we have Boston Newsletter, and it's in North America, the first regular newspaper. Then in 1721 we have the New English Corantos by James Franklin, North America first independent newspaper. Then in 1729 we have Pennsylvania Gazetted by Benjamin Franklin. Remember the Benjamin, the different titles they are having, Benjamin Day, Benjamin Franklin is separate, is other individual. In 1734 we have Ginger Trail. In 1752 we have Halifax Gazetted, and in 1780 we have Bengal Gazetted or Calcutta General Advertisers. Now in 1784 it's the Daily newspaper, Pennsylvania, USA, and this particular thing we have already discussed. And in the New York Sun, the first penny press paper was there, that is the first century, the Sunrise, 6-cent price. Other newspaper, this became, in this particular part, the newspaper became affordable for the common people. Now we have new journalism. The father of new journalism is known as Joseph Pulitzer. If we've been asked about who is the father of new journalism, you would say that it's Joseph Pulitzer. And if you've been asked that who is the father of new journalism, then it's Tom Wolfe and E.W. Johnson. It's the interactive way of journalism. The first person point of view, the new journalism is the first person point of view journalism. As I have discussed about the immersive technologies, the internet, the virtual reality, the augmented reality. Alright, so this was it with today's lecture, where we discussed about journalism, what is journalism, and the types of journalism, the ABC of journalism. Then we have discussed about the core principles of journalism, followed with the world history of newspaper and how paper and print was the different stages of paper, how paper was invented, and the different stages of printing. So this was it with today's lecture. Thank you for connecting. Tomorrow we will be discussing about different models of mass communication. Thank you for supporting. Keep supporting at Ease No Media, where we discuss media related topics at ease. I hope one day we will crack NTA UGC net together. Thank you guys.